In this video, we're going to be going over actually setting up our messages to be sent over the network and display in the chat. So I'm actually going to change this up a bit from how I was initially intending with, by having an array here, storing our chat messages. We're going to do away with that, and I will show you why here in a moment. So I'm just going to go ahead and compile. I'll do that once we actually go to create and set up everything. So one thing, what we're going to do first, we're going to get it so it sends 61. Oh, T array F string. No, just to get rid of the error for now. So we're going to get it so on our start crouch, when we're sending this as a print string, we're going to get it to just simply send this message. I'm going to add on to it. To send to test chat. We're going to send this to our chat and have it display. That's going to be the first thing, and then we're going to go through and actually make our text box where we enter in our text. We're going to make that functionable. All right, so we can begin. So first thing we're going to do, going to get rid of the for loop that was for testing. We are going to get our chat component. So get player character. We're going to cast it to survival character. As a survival character, we're going to get chat component. And I actually want to store this in a variable, so we're not having to get it each time. Object reference for chat component. I'm going to call this chat component. And we're going to set it. Now, if you recall before, we had to make an event. Well, we already made the event, and we tested it in the temporary HUD each time we crouched, and it did in fact fire. So via every time we broadcasted it, because we were calling this every time we crouched. So we're going to create and set that event up again. So I'm going to call chat received and bind an event to chat received. So we're going to add a new event. Well, add a custom event. I'm going to call it on chat received. And here's where we pretty much will be performing this code here. But I want to make a change here as well for our create chat message widget. So in our graph, in our construct, well, we're going to be putting it there, but we're going to add a new variable. We're going to be of type string. Going to call it message. We're going to make it instance editable and expose it on spawn. Compile save. And we're going to drag out our text box because we're going to be setting our text to the message we are passing in. So now if we look at our chat box, when we go to create our chat message, we have a new parameter here that we can pass the message into. So I'm going to actually give this a default value, call it error empty text, just in case. Why not? It's something. And it even changes up here. So, but now we need a way for the event to pass in the chat message. And the way we can do that is by modifying our delegate. So we're going to change this so it takes in one parameter, and that is going to be of type, of type f string. So we do underscore 1 param. I think that's right. It should show me. Yep. So it's just delegate 1 param. So we have the delegate name, which is the same, the type that it is, which is f string, and then the name of the parameter. So it's going to be f string. The parameter is going to be, what's it called? Chat message. All right, just like so. Now if we go over to our chat component and look at our broadcast, too few arguments in function call. We now have an error. So now we can see broadcast now takes in a parameter. So we're going to pass in message. And you can see all the other functions now that this is actually showing correctly. Now you can go through and do kind of whatever you want with. So now we have uh, our event actually passing in the message that the player was attempting to send. All right, let's try to refresh that node, and now chat message appears. So now we can simply connect chat message to message and execute it. So compile, save. Now if we go back to our chat message, we just need to set the text from message to the text box. So set text. It's going to convert it to a text, just like so. Compile and save. And we should be good. Now we should hopefully see this text get sent whenever we crouch. So test message to text chat. Crouch. And we do. So we know that that is working. Now we can go ahead and go to our text box that we enter in our text with. I want to change the text here from text to hint text, or enter chat message. And we're going to scroll to the bottom, and on text committed, we're going to add an event. So the commit method, so text commit, we're going to search text commit, so switch on eText commit. And here we see the different types. So, all these things we're going to do on enter. So when the enter key is pressed, we send the text. So because we have our chat component, we're going to get it. We're going to call the function that we made, send message, and hook it up to on enter. And we're going to link the string to the text. We actually probably could have just made this all built around the actual text itself, well, of the type text. But man, we'll just keep converting it. So we're calling our function send message here, which sends it to the server, and the server goes back and sends it to the client. So let's go ahead and see if it works. Test message, enter, and it appears. Good to go. And as you can see, it kind of, well, so there's somewhere we're going to have to fix when the message gets really long. But I'm thinking it, because it's no longer visible, we can't scroll it, but it's a two-liner, essentially. So we'll have to fix that. So we're going to do a quick little test. Ignore this. Can do it with 3 clients and see if what client 1 says shows up on client 2 and 3. Client 1, client 2, client 3. So, hello all. Right. Get sent, and get sent. So back to, I don't know which one was client one, this one that we were sending from, it shows all the text. It's everything everyone's saying is getting transferred over to everybody else's client, just as intended. So let's close it. And let's see, do I want to stop here? Um, yeah, I'm just gonna stop the video here and continue on in another one when we're gonna continue working on this and kind of doing a little bit of polish. So I want to go ahead and iterate what was done. So we made our widget, and when our widget gets made, being our kind of like our overall chat box that we're using, we we got our player character along with the chat component, and we stored that chat component, well, the reference, in a variable. Once we set it, we went ahead and bound the event we made in C++, our chat received. And when the chat is received, what we do is we create a widget of the type message, which is just a simple text box. I'm actually kind of curious what's going to happen if screw it, remove the text box. So we created the chat message and we added it to a child of the scroll message, or of our scroll box. And then we call the scroll to end. So we're always going to be at the bottom. And the way we call send message is by our text commit on our editable text box. So when our text is committed, we will go ahead and go through, call our send message function that's written in C++, pass in the text that's in the text box, and that goes through and calls server send message. And what server send message does is it loops through all the actors of a survival character and stores them, well, it gets all the actors of the class survival character and stores them in our variable, well, our T array of survival actors. Then we do a for loop through each of the actors and survival actors, cast it just to, we kind of have to. Then we get our chat component, which is this, and we call client receive message, which is a client RPC. So because we're on the server, this allows us to, we'll call client functions. So because we're looping through all of the player's characters, we're going to be calling them on those, if that makes sense. So for every player that's connected, it's going to loop through and it's going to call client receive message on their client. And it's going to pass in the message we're trying to send. So we just do a quick little test, make sure the message length is greater than 0. If it is, we call that event, again, on the client. And because we have that event bound up, we just go through, create the new widget, and add it as a child to our scroll box. And that's it. So hopefully that was simple enough. I don't remember if I covered it in the last video, but we also added to the viewport. I think I did that in the previous video, I'm not entirely sure. But we just went on begin play and created the chat box widget and added it to the viewport. We can actually get rid of all this stuff at the top too, where we did our inventory related stuff, just to clean it up. Alright, so that's all we had to do. Well, now we have a functional chat. There's going to be some cleanup that we have to do, but that'll be done in the next videos. So I will see you then.